Hello, my name is Benji and welcome to Dice vs Cards. Today we go back to the 41st millennium to continue our look at building a Necron force. Whether you built an army before or this is your first time at this lark, we've got you covered both for open and narrative play, where we'll talk in terms of power, and matched play, where we'll talk in terms of points. And remember, the ratio of power to points is roughly 1 to 20. Today's video, which focuses on getting you to an incursion sized army, will bring us to 50 power or 1000 points. So last time on how to build a Necron army, we encouraged the procurement of one or more of the 9th edition core starter sets. The reason for that, despite having to spend cold hard cash on Space Marines to go with your Necrons, was that despite all odds, it's still cheaper than buying the models included separately, providing excellent value for money. However, whilst we did give you the option to buy only the Recruit Edition, we strongly encourage the purchase of both, that and the Elite Edition. The main reasons for that are A, you get 2 different non-named HQs to vary your force, and B, you get multiple troop choices in the form of 2 units of 10 Necron warriors. These 4 units represent an ideal platform for the remainder of your army. So to get to 50 power or 1000 points, we're still detailing 2 different builds. One all about being well rounded and offering choice of different units, and the other favouring theme over anything else. Either way, both lists need the bulk of the contents of both starter sets, so if you haven't already, please do bite the bullet now. In the grand scheme of things, spending this much on 2 starter sets with all the models you're getting will in no way result in a sad panda face. And incidentally, the means to make some more money back if you flog the Marines. For our traditional build, we get to spread our wings a little bit. Whilst we can take 2 detachments in an incursion army, there's absolutely no need for us to be spending command points on a second one. Remember, the whole army detachment system in 9th edition is in place to try and stop goat's cheese armies, and so because we're not bringing a sister faction and we're not quite prepared to push to 2 HQs in this size of game, we're sticking with a patrol detachment for the time being. That's not to say at all that we're not putting some meat on the bone throughout the rest of this list. So starting where we left off, we're going to sideline the Royal Warden this time, in favour of the Overlord found in the Elite Edition starter box. The reason we need him primarily is that he's a noble, and will enable our command protocols. These doctrine-like rules mandate that you decide what bus you're getting for every one of the 5 turns of the game before you get started. He'll cost us a moderate 6 power on 95 points, and he's melee centric and so there to get up close and personal. But one thing he does bring is a great deal of support to core infantry units. As a quick side note, I mentioned in passing in the previous video, you only get to pick and choose your warlord subject to the leadership keywords they come with. So rank from top to bottom, if you're bringing a Pharaon, Overlord or Lord, then they'll be your chosen warlord in that order no matter what. In the event you have multiples of the same type, the choice, as you'd expect, becomes yours again. Does it make a huge difference? No, but it definitely becomes an extra consideration when building a Necron army. The Overlord will be looking to shepherd, but be chaperoned by one or more of the core units that we're bringing to the list. The first being the 2 units of Necron warriors we brought in our combat patrol build, but we're also resisting the urge to get a 3rd bunch of warriors and opting instead to buy a 5-strong unit of Immortals, effectively super warriors having access to slightly better firepower and the ability to hold their own more competently in combat. These Immortals are 4 power or 85 points for a unit of 5, with some upgradable weapon options that we won't be able to afford at this time. This platform of HQ and troops provides a solid foundation to work from, whilst falling just short of those minimum requirements for a battalion detachment. Moving to our elite choices, we continue with the gloriously hack and slash SKORPEKH destroyers from the previous video. And for our second elite choice, we're bringing another unit with the core keyword. A unit of 5 death marks, effectively snipers with deep strike. Now, whilst it's true there won't be bucket loads of characters or high interest targets to snipe at in incursion games, it's a unit that still fits snugly into this list, especially as it can arrive from reserves onto an objective you want to hold and then abuse its long range weapons. Moving on to the fast attack slots, we're combining the 2 units of 3 SCARAB swarms, which you'll again be familiar with from previously, into one big blob of 6 models. What this brings to the table is a great deal of wounds and a healthy low cost distraction for your opponent. And from something old to something new, we've managed to weasel one more core unit into the list for your synergistic pleasure. This time a 3-man unit of Tomb Blades, a mid-range shooter unit that can keep nice and flexible with their extra mobility, all at the reasonable cost of 4 power or 75 points. And then bookending our traditional build is a couple of tasty heavy support choices in the newly minted CANOPTEK Doomstalker, an extremely well equipped mobile gun platform who stands on his own 2 feet or not very well, boasting an impressive number of wounds, a nice arsenal of long range weaponry and the ability to overwatch anyone that charges nearby friendly dynastic units, all for the cost of 7 power or 140 points. This then leaves us with just enough room for the new but old Locust Destroyers, another solid all-round means of volleying high strength shots across the battlefield. This all adds up to a total army cost of 49 power or 995 points. So if you're playing with power, you can sneak one of those CANOPTEK plasma sights from our 500 point build in there as well. This list will certainly give you a ton of models for your points and the ability to learn more about your Necron forces with the variety in choice on offer. So from neat and tidy to thematic, let's see how we're evolving our Destroyer cult list. Well, to be honest, we've crammed quite a few cultists into this here build at the cost of a little bit of mobility, which at this stepping stone army size tier is to be expected. But you were promised theme, and theme ye shall receive. In terms of HQ and troop choice, we're able to bulk things up a little bit in order to build a battalion detachment. Needing 2 HQ and 3 troop choices was not at all difficult, as we'll find out, and the extra command points shouldn't be sniffed at. We're rocking an Overlord again, mainly for its nobility and command protocol enabling. But instead of a Royal Warden, we're opting to bring the SKORPEKH Lord, found in the Indomitus box. Now if it's not sold separately as of the time you're watching this video, then check out the purveyor and marketplace for used goods, eBay. At this point we're fully committed to the Destroyer cult, as our multi-pronged Lord gives all of our cult members re-rolling 1s to wound in a 6-inch aura. Pretty middling, but if the bulk of the non-core army is a target, then it's an aura that can do some work for you. And at a cost of 7 power or 130 points, you're getting a solid choice as one of the heads of your army. The troop choices, however, are exactly the same. 2 units of 10 warriors and 1 unit of 5 immortals. Again, all core units that will benefit from your Overlord's presence. Moving to the elite slots, well, you've already met the SKORPEKH Destroyers, the melee munching beat sticks, but we've also got room for the Tagaron himself, the CANOPTEK Plasma Sight, a model that should be labelled with a medium risk, medium reward sticker on it. What with you losing a Destroyer cult model if the number 1 on a dice shows up. Suffice to say, we only take these if we have a little nook in our list. Alongside both these units is the HEXMARK Destroyer, an interesting 6-pistol wielding monstrosity that needs to set its targets appropriately, deep striking in and preferably targeting a 1 wound unit that can abuse his exploding hits rule. At a cost of 4 power or 75 points, it's a strange one in terms of its stat line and war gear, but can only be enhanced by its Destroyer cult synergies. For fast attack choices, we can only afford to bring 1 unit of 3 Tomb Blades. We wanted to round out our suite of destroyers further, but seeing that those of the Ophidian variety are another melee unit, we can't justify their inclusion without a reliable way to get them up the pitch. Alas, Tomb Blades are an absolutely dandy mid-range shooty substitute. They have the added bonus of being a core unit, as we've already mentioned as well. Finally for today, we have a slight upgrade to the two heavy support choices that we brought to the party last time round. One Locust Destroyer is as per the combat patrol build with its D3 damage, but with the more chance of facing off against higher wound vehicles and monsters, bringing a heavy destroyer makes all the sense in the world. At a slightly upgraded cost of 4 power or 70 points, churning out that bit more damage capability can make all the difference. Now all of this is a nailed on 50 power, but it does give you 35 points to play with in upgrading some of your units. So look at your war gear choices for your Overlord, Immortals and Tomb Blades to get you where you need to be. So as the list diverges more and more, it's surprising how much the total cost of both is still fairly comparable. Having both starter sets as the foundation will certainly have helped with that. You're getting quite a few more models to the table in the traditional build, so be prepared to get your glue and paintbrush at the ready. But I think you'll find either of these lists will be fun to play. That's it for the second part of this series, however. Stay tuned for the next parts that will see us planning and building 100 power or 2000 point strike force armies, and finally 150 power or 3000 point onslaught sized forces. However, that's it from me. I'll see you next time.